I personally think is really timing. How long does he hang on, and can he hang on? He's showing that he wants to. He's denied. He's kind of using, to be honest, the Donald Trump playbook and trying to just deny and hope that people forget. I don't think that's going to work, though, in this situation.
It worked so far for Ralph Northam, who's still governor of Virginia. So we'll see how long he can hold on.
It's true.
Elena, great to see you. Great reporting, as always, at Axios. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you, Leland.
All right. Local look now. We bring in Justin Miller, the news director for the New York Magazine's Intelligencer, that has broken numerous exclusives through the Cuomo scandals. We'll zoom in now, Justin. You heard Elena say there's no Democrats in Washington supporting Cuomo. Are there any Democrats in New York that he's getting support from?
No, the few remaining people that were waiting to see which way the investigation would go, what the results of the investigation would go, including Eric Adams, the Democratic nominee for mayor in the city, have now decided, come out in light of the investigation, and said the governor has to go.
Yeah. You know, the Cuomos ran New York City for as long as I have been alive, ran New York State, I should say, with an iron fist for as long as I have been alive, depending how many years you think that is, depends on how much gray hair you can see on my head right now. How did they lose control in just a year?
It's very simple. The governor intimidated an assemblyman named Ron Kim. Ron Kim decided to speak up and said, "I'm not afraid of you anymore." Then a woman by the name of Lindsey Boylan, who worked in Cuomo's office, said that she was inspired by Ron Kim speaking out. She published her own account of sexual harassment by the governor. And from there, dominoes continued to fall. And even as early as March, the governor was under severe danger and said, you know what, I want to stanch the bleeding here. Attorney General Letitia James, why don't you investigate these allegations? Now she's returned a report that is more than 168 pages, damning in its detail and shocking. I think shocking anybody who's followed this story.
It's shocking in its detail and in sort of how conclusive it is. Typically, reports leave out more things. This was pretty Sherman-esque, shall we say. Sticking on this theme of New York politics, though, because it's fascinating, and what happens in New York so affects the rest of the country. We've seen Chuck Schumer become quite progressive, at least in his willingness to talk about it, his votes depending. A lot of people think that's because AOC was going to challenge him in the primary. Does this change the primary dynamics for 2022 now?
Oh, I think it's entirely too early to know one way or the other. The entire party and the landscape of voters has shifted, and this is far more than Chuck Schumer.
The book, we want to put up this book cover. Perhaps will go down in things that don't age well. And this was Andrew Cuomo's book, American Crisis, about his leadership during COVID-19. And this isn't the only scandals he's having to deal with and that you all have reported on, because it's not only the sexual harassment, but a lot of the real anger towards Cuomo started before this with all the nursing home deaths.
Correct. The governor and his office have been accused of essentially cooking the books on the number of people who died of COVID in nursing homes, that he was catching a lot of criticism from the right early on in the pandemic for his policy of releasing COVID positive people who were recovering from the virus, releasing them from hospitals that were overcrowded back to nursing homes. Critics of Cuomo say that exacerbated the crisis.
Yeah. Where do you see this story arc going? Because he can hold on for as long as he wants, and the media has a short attention span. Are there enough votes to impeach him? Has he irritated enough people and alienated enough people that they'll actually vote to impeach him?
So the Speaker of New York's Assembly, their version of the House, came out at about 4:30 this afternoon. So shortly after the President of the United States spoke, and said that he had spoken to his conference, the Democrats in the State House, and told the governor that the governor has lost a majority of support. In other words, we have the votes to impeach you. And he all but said, why don't you take the easy way out? If the votes to impeach are there and the political will is there and they don't waste time, then they will present the governor with a fait accompli, which is, we will impeach, convict, and remove you from office on these allegations, or you can pull up Richard Nixon and try to save face and resign, in my words, for the good of the state.
Richard Nixon or Eric Greitens more recently down in Missouri. That's basically what happened with him. If Andrew Cuomo came out and said, I'm not running for re-election, in what Elena sort of alluded to, would that be enough to get them to go away, or would he have to resign? Is this going to end one way or the other with him leaving office?
It's a very good question. Part of the Democrats' calculus, and I don't want to make too small of the fact that these are 11 very serious, disturbing allegations. This is not solely politics, but part of the calculation here has to be what would happen to the rest of the Democrats on the ballot next November with Andrew Cuomo on top. So it's possible that he may be able to offer them some sort of deal that says, I promise not to run again. But would you trust Andrew Cuomo at his word at this point? You know, if his polling recovers or something else? I mean,
Excellent question.
They can't take that to the bank. So they've announced their intention to knock off the governor, and typically when you do that, you need to follow through.
Yeah. If you're gonna shoot the king, you better make sure you kill him. Justin Miller, excellent analysis, great insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. New York Attorney General Letitia James said Governor Cuomo broke federal and state laws. Big statement, but he's not been charged with any crimes. Will he be? Let's bring in Robert Stock, former Nassau County Assistant Attorney, now a